Time flowed differently inside Blackgate Correctional Facility. For Ethan Range Reynolds, his tears there had dissolved into a relentless, grey blur. The days were an endless, suffocating monotony, punctuated only by the occasional shiv fight in the mess hall, the arrival of a new inmate, or a sudden, aggressive shakedown. The tedium was a beast that gnawed at his sanity. The prison's pen pal program, a mandatory rehabilitation initiative, struck Ethan as a cynical joke. It was another superficial gesture by the administration to tick a box for socialization. He'd filled out the form grudgingly, mainly to appease his social worker, who, after all, would want to correspond with a man convicted of armed robbery. The first letter arrived on a Wednesday, tucked inside a plain white envelope. The handwriting was neat, the tone formal, a polite greeting, a few general questions about life, and an offer of platonic friendship. It was signed, Avery. I chose your name at random from a list, but I don't believe in accidents. The letter read, perhaps we both need someone to talk to. To be honest, I feel a little lonely in this huge city, too. Ethan read the letter 3 times. There was an unexpected sincerity in the lines, a flicker of genuine human connection he hadn't felt in years. He spent an entire evening composing a reply, his limited vocabulary of prison slang slowly giving way to more thoughtful prose. Thank you for your letter. I didn't expect anyone to write. Time moves like molasses in here, so any news from the outside is like a breath of fresh air. Gradually, their formal correspondence softened. Avery wrote about her life as a digital artist in Brooklyn, her passion for classic black and white films, and her small apartment overlooking Prospect Park. Ethan, in turn, shared memories of life before Blackgate, his dreams for a future he wasn't sure he deserved, and even fears he'd never confessed to his cellmates. After 3 months, they were on a first-name basis. 5 months in, Ethan realized he was living week to week, from Avery's last letter to her next. You know, I never thought I'd say this, but sometimes I think you understand me better than anyone ever has, he wrote one night, staring at the words of vulnerability he hadn't allowed himself since childhood. In December, a photograph arrived. Ethan gazed at the image of a woman with a gentle smile, shoulder-length brown hair, and intelligent, slightly guarded eyes. That's me. Thought you might want to put a face to the letters. Not my best shot, but it's the only one I had on hand. The photo found a home above Ethan's bunk. His cellmates, a hardened crew, initially mocked it, but soon they started asking with a grudging respect, who is this woman who writes such long, detailed letters? My girl, Ethan would reply, the words feeling foreign at first, but sounding truer with every passing day. By spring, their letters were brimming with plans, hopes, and confessions. Avery described how she imagined their first meeting after his release. Ethan spoke of a rustic cabin near a lake where they could live quietly. I think about you every night when I fall asleep. I try to imagine your voice. Is it deep or high? Do you talk fast or slow? Do you laugh as easily as you write? He asked. Avery's replies were full of warmth, yet occasionally tinged with an inexplicable sadness. Sometimes I'm afraid that when we meet, things will change, she wrote once. That when you see the real me, you'll be disappointed. Ethan didn't understand her fear. To him, Avery was already real, more tangible than the concrete walls and razor wire that surrounded him. You are the only thing holding me together. Without your letters, I would have lost my mind a long time ago. You can't disappoint me. I know you better than I know anyone. That summer, Ethan did the unthinkable. He wrote a proposal. Will you marry me? I know it's insane. I'm here and you're out there. But I need to know I have a future. That we have a future. The reply came 2 weeks later, the longest fortnight of his life. The envelope was thicker than usual. Inside, a simple silver wedding band rested on a small note. Yes. 1,000 times, yes. He'll wait for you until the day you walk free. They were married a month later in a sterile, impersonal ceremony, a stack of documents, signatures, and no chance for even a hug. But for Ethan, It was the truest vow he had ever made. Their correspondence deepened after the wedding. Ethan felt emboldened to express his physical longing for his wife. Avery responded with tenderness, but consistently steered the conversation away from physical intimacy toward feelings, thoughts, and dreams. "I dream of just hearing your voice, of feeling your hand in mine," she replied once. "Sometimes I think that would be enough." The prison social worker, intrigued by their unique romance, offered to arrange a conjugal visit, an opportunity available to married inmates with a spotless record. Ethan seized the chance like a drowning man. Avery, however, responded with hesitation. "I'm not sure I'm ready. Don't misunderstand me. I long to see you, but it's so hard." Ethan couldn't fathom her doubts. He begged, persuaded, and insisted, letter after letter, until Avery finally relented. "Okay, it'll come in a month, the first Saturday in October. Just promise me you'll remember." Him extremely nervous. The night before the visit, Avery sent one final letter. "My beloved, tomorrow I will see you for the first time. My hands are shaking. There is something I need to tell you, but I don't know how. Please, no matter what happens tomorrow, remember this. Everything I wrote about my feelings was true. Every single word. I love you with all my heart. I always will." Ethan reread the letter until the ink blurred. What secret could be so vital? Did she have a lover? Was she afraid he wouldn't find her attractive? He dismissed the thoughts as absurd. Nothing could change his feelings for the woman who had become his lifeline. The intimate visiting room at Blackgate was small, designed to mimic a cheap motel. A double bed, a small table, and 2 chairs. Warden Donovan, his expression dour and cynical, closed the door behind Avery. "You have 2 hours, he said with a chilling smirk. "No cameras, so feel free." The lock clicked. Avery's heart hammered against her ribs. "It's not too late. I can explain. He will understand." The second click, the one signaling his arrival, made her jump. He was taller than she'd imagined, broader, and his eyes, the eyes from the photos she had pored over, were light with pure adoration. "Avery," he breathed, her name a prayer. They stood motionless for a moment. Then Ethan's arms were around her, squeezing her against his body. "Finally, you're finally here." His scent, cheap soap, and raw masculinity enveloped her. He pulled back, his lips finding hers gently, then with an insistent, growing passion. His hands slid down her back, pulling her close. "Ethan, wait." Avery pulled back, pushing against his chest. "We need to talk. Later," he whispered, kissing her again, his hands moving everywhere. "We have so little time. I've dreamed of this." His hunger was palpable, his arousal pressing against her. Instinctively, Avery took a step back. "Please, Ethan, this is important." He stopped, breathing heavily, his eyes clouded with desire and confusion. "What is it, love? What's wrong?" Avery took a deep breath. "Now. I have to say it now. There's something you don't know about me." Ethan frowned. "Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I love you." He reached for her again. "It does matter, Ethan. It matters a lot." The words were a painful lump in her throat. "I am not exactly who you think I am. I was born different." "What are you talking about?" Irritation crept into his voice. "You're my wife. The woman I've been writing to for a year and a half." Avery wrapped her arms around herself, defensively. "In transgender, Ethan. I'm in transition. I was born in a man's body." The silence was deafening. Ethan stared at her, the confusion on his face hardening into disbelief. "Is this some kind of sick joke?" he finally asked. "It's not a joke." Avery's voice trembled. "I wanted to tell you sooner, but I was afraid of losing you." "No." Ethan shook his head, refusing to process the truth. "No, it's impossible. I saw your pictures. You're a woman. On the outside, yes." Avery took a tentative step toward him. "And on the inside, too. I've always been a woman, Ethan. It's just my body didn't match. I've been on hormones for years." Ethan recoiled as if struck. "Are you saying that you have a..." He couldn't finish the sentence. his face contorted with confusion and sudden disgust. Please, try to understand. Avery's eyes were filling with tears. It's still me. The same Avery who has been writing to you, who loves you, loves me. Ethan gave a soundless, mocking laugh. You lied to me for a year and a half, manipulated me into marriage. He slammed his fist onto the small table. Do you know what I had to listen to from the guys? How jealous they were that I had a beautiful wife coming to see me. Ethan, shut up. He cut her off, his voice raw with rage. I don't want to hear your voice. I don't want to see your face. You're a sick freak and you ruined my life. Avery flinched as if he had struck her. I know it's a shock. It hasn't been easy for me, either. But Ethan, if we love each other, love. He spat the word out. I loved a woman. A real woman. Not this. He gestured toward her with a look of utter revulsion. I am a real woman, Avery whispered. Inside, where it matters. A flicker of doubt crossed Ethan's eyes, but his gaze immediately hardened. Prove it. He lunged forward, grabbing her wrist. If you're my wife, we'll have a wedding night. Isn't that why you came here? Ethan, no. Avery backed away, hitting the wall. Not like this. Not now. We need to talk. Talk. He laughed bitterly. I'm done talking. His hand squeezed her wrist until Avery cried out. He dragged her to him. You come here. Make me believe I have a wife. A real wife. And then you pulled a stunt. Kevin's words from the yard echoed in his mind. Be a man. Take what's yours. I don't believe you, he hissed, forcing his lips onto hers. His hands were rough, tearing the buttons of her blouse. Another yank, and her bra was ripped away. Ethan froze for a second, staring at her developing breasts. Then his hand moved lower, to the waistband of her pants. No. Avery screamed, struggling with renewed desperation. Michael, please don't. Something in her voice, in her pure, unadulterated fear, made him pause. He looked at her face, tear-stained and pleading. Avery, he murmured, and his grip loosened momentarily. She used the moment to touch his face. Please, Ethan. Not like this. Not here. If you really love me, not like this. His expression softened, but his eyes were still hard. If I love you. You've been lying to me for years. His hand pulled the zipper down. Avery thrashed, trying to throw him off. Ethan's hand slid under the fabric of her underwear and froze. Shock. Disbelief. Disgust. God, he breathed, snatching his hand back. It was true. Avery lay still, watching the love in his face curdle into pure hate. Shut up, he hissed, rolling off her. Just shut up. He stood in the middle of the room, breathing heavily, looking at her like she was something toxic. Avery slowly sat up, trying to cover herself with the remnants of her blouse. You broke everything, Ethan whispered, and the profound pain in his voice made Avery cringe. Everything I had, everything I dreamed of. We can fix this, she said quietly. Together, if you give us a chance. Ethan shook his head, and the look in his eyes was terrifyingly calm. No, this can't be fixed. The silence became a living thing, thick with betrayal and humiliation. The thought of the other inmates, the mockery, the derision flashed through his mind. You destroyed me, he whispered, his voice rising in an awful crescendo. Do you realize what you've done? Ethan, I know you're shocked, but nothing has changed. I'm still the same Avery who wrote to you. All those feelings were real. Real. He took a step toward her, and Avery scrambled backward. You're not real. You're a fake. Years of suppressed prison aggression. The fear of weakness, the sudden, colossal failure of his hope, it all exploded. He lunged at her. His hands closed around her throat, squeezing with inhuman strength. You ruined my life, he repeated through clenched teeth, tightening his grip with each word. Avery clawed at his wrists, her eyes wide with horror and incomprehension. She was trying to speak, but only a gurgling sound escaped. Ethan was vaguely aware that her resistance was fading, that the life was draining out of her. Only when his own hands began to tremble did he finally let go. Avery fell to the floor like a broken doll. Her open eyes stared into nothing. The dark bruises of his fingers were stark on her pale neck. He killed her. He killed Avery, his wife, the person whose letters he kissed before bed. No, he whispered, falling to his knees beside the body. No, no, no. He touched her face, warm, but lifeless. He didn't remember pressing the call button. He didn't remember Warden Donovan's cold voice. Found out the wife was actually a man. Huh. Tough kid. Taken to a solitary cell, the truth finally crushed him. He had killed the only person who truly loved and understood him. The real Michael, the tender, hopeful man from the letters, had vanished, replaced by a violent, terrified animal. Avery's mother, Eleanor Morgan, sat in the waiting room for the third hour. When a stern officer finally approached her, she knew. A week later, sorting through her daughter's things, Eleanor found a box of letters, hundreds of them, neatly tied. She picked up the final draft, the one Avery never sent. Michael, my love, I was born a boy. I've been living as a woman, but I haven't undergone full surgery yet. I realize this may come as a shock. If it changes how you feel, I understand. But know this, everything I wrote was true. I love you with all my heart, and I will love you no matter what happens. Tears streamed down Eleanor's face. To truly loving souls, all destroyed in one moment of fear, misunderstanding, and prejudice. In the isolation cell at Blackgate, Ethan sat against the cold wall. In his hand, the last photograph of Avery. He turned it over. In the familiar, elegant script was written, "Love you just the way you are. Forever yours, Avery." Ethan closed his eyes. Too late. He finally understood that he had lost not a woman, but a soulmate, the one person who accepted him with all his imperfections and his own fear, had condemned them both. The gilded cage of Blackgate had not only held his body, it had corrupted his heart.